Bree coming to you with the Beat Face, and today we have another Ready to Love review. Listen, Ready to Love is back. It is my favorite trash TV. And last week was the Mixer. I watch the Mixer, but then I never remember the people afterward until the next episode. People are just, trying their best to network and do their thing as extroverts do. So it's really not too much to talk about, to be honest, for the Mixer. But this week we had the group brunch, and then some dates started happening. And so we get to the group brunch, everybody's there. I think Corbea is super pretty. I just think she's a very pretty girl. Demario, you see him first in the group brunch, and he has these very light eyes. And it is very it's definitely a contrast with his skin, but it's so cute. I think it's so adorable. And so of course Tommy comes in with his curveballs, and they immediately add 4 more singles, even though they just eliminated 2 last night. And honestly, that lawyer lady, I don't remember her name, but I just feel like she could have stayed. I would have liked to see her through this competition because she seemed very substantial. She didn't seem airheaded at all. It seemed like maybe she just didn't get good interactions with the guys, and so they just weren't feeling it from her. And from Z, they got homegirl vibes, which I don't know. I personally didn't pick up on the homegirl vibes, but I think that from this episode, they should have eliminated Z instead of the other lady last time. But, I digress. The guys that they added, when they first walked in, I was like, could have done without. And then the girls, I just saw some bounce in action. I was like, listen, we in Miami, so if you got it, flaunt it. Fabrice, though, did have an accent, and he's Haitian, and he speaks French, and it's I can see the attraction, but Fabrice initially was not giving me anything. I was just like, you could have kept that one. Mark Anthony is pretty cute, but when he walked in, he just didn't give the best entrance to me. So Jonique, and there's another girl on there, I think her name is Marcia, who are giving very city girl vibes, exactly like the city girls. Look, the body, the accent, all of that it's giving very city girl, which we did not get from last season. So it was very funny to see that. And their demeanor, just how they were acting, and it was giving very city girl vibes. It's not a bad thing, it's just a thing I noticed. Z is, another person going down the Tasia route of, who put me in the bottom? Why was I in the bottom? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. That's just a thing they do, I guess. I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to know for some feedback, but like one of the guys said, no one's gonna just up and say, I put you in the bottom because blah, blah, blah. They're just not gonna say that to you. So it's kind of pointless to ask those questions. They're not gonna give you honest answers. Jeffrey seems like she's very much into Andre. She got really upset when that other girl came in and interrupted. Andre seems like he's for everybody. Maybe it's I like who likes me, and a lot of people seem to like him, but he just seems to be I'm for the free love. Y'all come on in, and I will pick you off as this process goes on. I don't know. He just seems like he likes everybody. So then they set up this huge group date, and it's 5 guys and then the 2 new ladies, just so that they can get to know, I guess, the new ladies better. Andre, again, asks a question about, are you able to be submissive to an alpha male and all of that stuff? Listen, word to Kevin Samuels, I hate when a guy says that. He asked that same question to Z, and they had that little back and forth, and she's like, oh, I'm an alpha female, but I could be submissive to a guy, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Whoever Cynthia, she gave a good answer, right? I can be submissive to a man, but I have had to do a lot of things on my own. So if a guy comes into my life, and I don't want to have that role. She gave a good answer. For me, I think that when you are a leader and when you are actually an alpha male, you don't have to say it. You don't have to bring it up. Like, other people will pick up on it and act accordingly. I think you could get a better response, a more in-depth response, and probably the responses you're looking for if you just asked, well, what do you think about, submission in a relationship? How do you think that should go? What do you think about gender roles? What do you think about roles in a relationship? I just feel like there's so many other ways to get a response as you're looking for than to just go on this deal about telling everybody that you're an alpha male. And I feel like my point is proven a little bit later in the episode, because there's a single date with Tony. Tony and Marcia go on a date, and Tony just immediately is like, let's pray. He grabs her hand, he prays, and she's like, oh, I love that. You did so good. Like, he did not have to say, by the way, I'm an alpha male, so I'm going to lead us in prayer. How do you feel about that? Or it didn't have to be a conversation. I feel like when you are a leader, then you lead, and then people follow where they go. And that's, I think, the mark of a true leader. You don't have to say, by the way, I'm a leader. By the way, I'm an alpha male. I think it cheapens it, and it makes it seem like you're compensating, or that you're not actually that, because I don't think it has to be announced. That is just my opinion. On to the Tony and Marcia date. I like Tony's vibe. He's very laid back, but also extroverted at the same time. Like, it doesn't seem like there's ever a lack of conversation with him, but he's also very calm and cool, and I like that. And Marcia is very bubbly. One thing she said on that date was, she was talking about where her heart for people comes from, and like where her compassion for people comes from, and liking to hear people's stories, because she knows that people have poured into her, and she wants to do the same for others. And I love that. I think that just shows a little bit more of who Marcia is as a person. Of course, she's not just a pretty face, but I did like having that immediate depth. It didn't take long to get there for her, and I did appreciate seeing that from her. They seem like they're, getting along, Tony and Marcia, on this date. And I think Marcia said she really liked him, and, this is early on in the process, so it's not like wedding bells are ringing for anyone just yet, but they do seem to get along very well. Sidebar, are they not allowed to bring purses and stuff on these dates? Because I have seen nary a purse, and I feel like I always have one on me. That is just random, but I did notice that. Do you have to hand your purse off to production before you go in the restaurant? I was just wondering. Blake and Z go on a date, and it was awkward central. So Blake mentioned that Z had very nervous energy. She seemed like she was kind of uncomfortable, and so he was trying to ask her questions, but him asking so many questions might have come off as if he was interrogating her. In his defense, I feel like if you are asking questions and all someone does is just answer the question, what else are you gonna do except move on to the next question? I mean, if you're not giving me anything so that we can have a dialogue and a back and forth and an actual conversation, then it's gonna feel like I'm just interrogating you, because we are not conversing in a natural way. I'm just asking you things, and all you're doing is answering. So I can see both sides. Also, maybe she just was not into Blake. I think Blake hit a few ladies the wrong way at the mixer, because he was kind of changing his story up, especially with the kids aspect, and then he seemed a little arrogant, which I think maybe just his personality, that he just comes off that way, and that he doesn't intend to, but it does seem like it when you're having a conversation with him. And not that I'm on the Blake train, I just think that there's a little room for misunderstanding when you have just met someone. So then they flipped it and had a group date with a bunch of ladies and the new guys. So this group date, you got to see a little bit more from Fabrice, I have a hard time saying that name, Fabrice and Mark Anthony. And I can definitely see why they were invited onto this process. They're very energetic. They're very, gregarious people, especially Fabrice. He seems like the life of any party he walks into, and he for sure was gonna let you know he wanted to talk about some sex. Now, whatever, if that's your thing, that's your thing. And he said he likes to bring it up to shock women and to see who's kind of uncomfortable about it and who would be comfortable in those situations. And I think the lady Sue Ann was so on board with that I was just like, well, I guess it accomplished the point that you wanted to accomplish. However, I did see like Marc Anthony in a better light, because he also said something at the brunch where it was like, Corvée was asking how he feels about spoiling women, and he was like, you gotta earn that, and it feels a little gold diggerish for you to ask me about that. And I was like, how is that gold digger? That didn't make any sense to me. But he kind of redeemed himself in this date. He seemed, to really enjoy speaking with the ladies and get to know them and things like that. Fabrice is just a horny old man, is all I got from that. And maybe this is not the process for him, or maybe him and Sue Ann can get together and they'll have a good time. I did notice that Z seemed a lot more confident and comfortable on this group date than she did with Blake. And she knew a lot of things about Marc Anthony. Like, the lady started asking Marc Anthony questions, and she answered and was like, well, you're in pilot school, right? Oh, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. Yeah, did you know this? Oh, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, so you two have had conversations. And it felt to me like maybe she was hoping that connection would blossom into something. I also think, in general, for her being a little more or seeming a little more confident on this group date, I think in general, it is easier for people to relax and feel comfortable when the spotlight is not totally on them. That you can engage in conversations a little bit easier when it's a group of us instead of it's just one-on-one. Because when it's one-on-one, yeah, it's going to feel like an interview because all the spotlight is on you and that person. And also, maybe she just didn't like Blake. I mean, there's so many things that could have gone into why she seemed nervous. Maybe he was giving off nervous energy. Maybe he was a little uncomfortable. But I do think in general, people are just more comfortable in group settings. So it was nice to see her kind of, interact with lots of people in that setting. And she did have cute boots. One of the girls mentioned that. I was like, that is a cute outfit that she had on. Mercedes and Marc Anthony did hit it off a little bit with their whole pilot flight attendant situation. So maybe that's going to be a thing. And so then deliberation happens. Tommy immediately is like, listen, don't you be calling these girls and telling them what we talk about here. You are not supposed to do that. And I just feel like he is tired of seeing these interviews of people who are mad about things that they should not have known about in the first place because these dudes be running their mouth. So he was like, we cutting that off right now, don't you dare. And so the next curveball is that they have a one-time lifeline pass so that they can save one lady one time through this process. It has to be a unanimous decision. So you give them a second chance so that no one will be eliminated that week, which is interesting. I think that'll be a good one. And I think it'll mostly be used for someone who was really solid on one connection. I feel like it would have been like a couple seasons back in DC, Camille and that other man. Camille and I cannot remember his name. I think it also started with a K. Did it also start with a K? Very southern guy. I cannot remember his name, but I think it would be a situation like that where it's like, I only have one connection, you only have one connection, and because of that, you're about to get eliminated, but lifeline so that you live to fight another week. I don't know. I don't know why you would do that unless you just have not had enough time to get to know these ladies and you actually like them and you just cannot figure out who to eliminate because everyone's so good. Maybe it'll be used on the retreat. The retreat is usually where people solidify their connections. So I feel like it should be used before the retreat. I have no idea. I have no inkling on when this is going to be used. Maybe as the episodes progress, it'll become more apparent if these men are indecisive or not. Anyway, so eliminations. Lyndon takes Corvea out because Corvea and Z end up at the bottom. Sidebar is that Lyndon is actually very attractive, and he has an island accent, which is very cute. Like his accent, it's very adorable. It's like not very heavy, but you can still tell that he has an accent. It's so cute. I do not understand what he was trying to communicate to Corvea, like with his advice and telling her, don't be so staunchly connected to your standards. Like I personally didn't understand what he was trying to say, and I'm always of the mindset that if you just don't fit the bill for the standards that someone has, move along. Clearly it's not you. Just say it's not me, and that's it. She was like, if you're broke, just say that, which I would not have said, but girl, it's not a lie. So I don't understand what he was trying to give her advice on. Maybe the guys just didn't like it because, you know, she came off a certain way, but I also just don't feel like she needed to change what the content of what she was saying. Maybe just communicate it in a different way, I guess. Maybe that's what Linda was trying to say. Communicate it in a way that doesn't make you seem like a horrible, horrible person. But you know, that was that, and Corvea stayed. Blake ends up taking Z out, and she was like, why are we here again? Because clearly this was not a love connection. And the connection was that you are no longer ready to love. So Z went home. And I was happy that at least she didn't act up about it. City Girl reference. But yeah, so that was this week's episode. I didn't really get too much from the previews. Like, it didn't seem like anything major was happening. I did notice from the previews, like the trailer for the whole season, Tony is starting to act up, you know, about some things. I think with Morgan, like he's really into Morgan and has kissed her, and maybe Lyndon is his competition in that regard, and that's a deal. Maybe that's at the retreat. I don't know. It looked like they were all at this big dinner table, so who knows? Maybe it was one of the group dates. I couldn't tell. But that's all I got from the previews. I didn't really get anything from the next episode previews. However, I am so excited about this season. I think everyone looks very good. I think it'll be a little bit better than last season. Not that last season was last season bad? I think maybe it was uninteresting. But this season I'm very interested in. I'm very interested to see where these couples go, and everyone seems like they're very, I mean, obviously they get real professionals to do this. I mean, and Black people be working, but I just feel like everyone's about their business. They're very well spoken, very articulate, all of those things, all of those good things. They seem very gregarious and extroverted and all those types of adjectives. But I'm excited to see what happens. So I will see you guys in my next one. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.